Is tinnitus a spiritual awakening in disguise? But tinnitus by itself is not. It's just a sound that you're perceiving. It's very scientific. It's debated whether it can be caused by loud noise exposure. How can people with no hearing loss have tinnitus, and then how can people with profound hearing loss never have tinnitus? It really does seem like a very complex issue, but in and of itself is just the perception of a sound that's like a phantom sound. But it's not like anything mystical in and of itself. I think the mystical part of it comes into play when you're put in a situation that you can't control. That pain is what you're experiencing, is your ego realizing that it's no longer in control. And that resistance is very scary, and it's very, very painful. It's like it's realizing for the first time. It's like you realizing for the first time that you're not really in control of life. and that, if you, for the first time realizing it, if you thought you were in control and you need to be in control and you base your entire reality around control, and you are in control, and you, me, I, when it comes to tinnitus, you have no control over it. That can be, a lot of times, a catalyst for a spiritual awakening. Depending on where you're at in your life, how much suffering and trauma have you been through? Have you been through different experiences where you were put in this, you had the veil taken off and you realize you're not in control? Have you had a chronic illness? Have you experienced the death of a loved one? Have you been through other, maybe debilitating anxiety or depression or other things like that? If you have, and then you have encountered tinnitus, and you have a history in your life of having to wrestle with these very dark and real experiences that other people have not, and you come up to tinnitus and you're like, here it is again. The realization that I'm not in control and my ego is fighting and screaming. It can be the onset, the catalyst to a spiritual awakening. And so for my life, that's kind of a very similar trajectory to how it played out. Tinnitus alone didn't cause a spiritual awakening. That, coupled by a long history that I've lived of really not feeling seen, heard, understood by society, and feeling like I was rejected by my family, and having to deal with anxiety and the loss of my father, and all of these just traumatic things, traumatic home life, and just all of that has really, through the course of my life, chipped away at this illusion that I was in control. And tinnitus was just one of many chips, a pretty big one, in the mask of control, the mask that is the illusion of control. And so for me, it doesn't have to be. For most people, if this is the only painful thing you've experienced, or the only, the first real time that you realize you're not in control, it can feel very difficult. They can be very painful, but that pain isn't you being hurt. That pain is your ego realizing it's not in control. And that can pump your body with cortisol. It can push your nervous system into fight or flight, and you can just feel a general sense of uneasiness and like angst and dread and doom and fear. You have to realize that's your nervous system in fight or flight. Practicing the things that I teach and working with me, we can get your nervous system out of fight or flight, and we can get you back into rest and digest, and get you to a place where you surrender to it and you're no longer fighting it, and you can go on to habituate. And And when you surrender, here's the paradox though. When you're going through a spiritual awakening and you realize that you're not in control, once you surrender to it, you have freedom. But the freedom comes after the surrendering. It's just like tinnitus. But once you surrender to it, bam, you're free, right? It's like a sailor. Now, if the sailor wants to lose sight of the shore, he has to surrender to the compass. If he's unable to surrender to the compass, he can never lose sight of shore. Very similar to how I would describe a spiritual awakening or tinnitus. If you choose to not surrender to the fact that you don't have control, then you can never take your eyes off the shore. You will never really truly be free. But if you can surrender to the unknown, the unknown, you don't know, and you are not in control, then you are free, truly free to live, right? Jesus says, for whoever loses their life for my sake will gain it. If you hold on to it, if you let go, you will have it. Ancient wisdom here, very true. And that, if you approach tinnitus with that demeanor and that perspective, will loosen its grip on you and release you into silence, back into a new life, a beautiful life, a life that is filled with wonder and beauty and amazing things. So if this helps you, smash the like button. It does help the algorithm to get these videos to other people who need this. Share this video with a friend, and make sure to, if you want to, book a 60-minute session below with me. I can teach you how to do this. If you need someone who will listen to you and understand, I would love to be that person. Until next time, I'll talk to you all later. Peace.